a time,
there was a queen.
A wise queen.
Well, she was both wise and she was foolish.
But she was the queen, and so her wisdom was greater.
But she was the queen, and so her foolishness was deeper.
she loved being the queen.
But let's be honest, who wouldn't?
But she rarely thought through the consequences to her actions.
She would declare national holidays in the middle of a harvest.
She would sign laws without reading them first.
She once tried to outlaw the rain because she wanted to have a picnic.
No one was more surprised than her when it worked. One day,
One ordinary day,
After the queen had done something particularly foolish,
she followed up by doing something particularly wise.
or perhaps,
After doing something wise,
she did something foolish.
at any rate,
the queen said,
As of today, there shall be no more yesterdays.
And the whole world gasped. Together!
for how could she possibly say such a thing?
and the people asked,
My queen,
yesterday has already
happened. How can you say it shall be no more?
The queen scoffed.
I am the queen, and what I say is, as of today, there shall be no more yesterdays.
And the people asked,
My queen,
does that mean that
anything that happened yesterday
didn't happen?
The queen scoffed.
I am the queen, and what I say is that as of today, there shall be no more yesterdays.
and the people asked,
My queen, what does that mean of tomorrow?
The queen scoffed.
I am the queen, and what I say is, as of today, there shall be no more yesterdays.
And so it was.
the people went to work.
People went to school.
The people went to libraries and to museums and to the grocery store and to war and to the limit and to the chase, and eventually they went to bed.
And the sun rose next morning, dressed the same.
But also a little different.
The sun cocked its head and said,
Whoa, deja vu. Did I do this already?
Roosters looked at the sun and said,
That looks familiar. Maybe I should call it by name, and perhaps it'll answer back. But for the life of me, I don't know what to call it.
People everywhere woke up and thought,
What
am I
what are they doing here?
and the queen awoke.
and screamed,
For as she looked around, she didn't recognize anything.
Where was she?
Where am I?
Who was she?
Who am I?
What day was it?
What?
What day was it?
I don't know what you're saying.
The queen in her wisdom.
Or
The queen and her foolishness.
The queen has eliminated the idea of yesterday.
There were no lessons to learn.
There was no hindsight to use.
There were no mistakes.
There was no victory.
Because there was no yesterday.
Who are you?
So what could she do?
She tried to ask for help. Can you please help me?
But
Because there was no yesterday.
And no one could remember the many yesterdays before today.
no one knew she was the queen.
And the people said,
Why should we help you? And the queen had no reply.
she didn't have any good reasons why they should help her.
And her heart began to break.
And her stomach began to hurt.
Oh!
And her eyes began to water.
Oh! And her mind began to wander. What should I do?
And she thought, and she thought, and she thought, and she thought.
But her imagination had run dry.
Her perspective had narrowed.
Her problem solving had disappeared.
And her memories, those all-important occupants of yesterday, were inaccessible to her.
And yet, her resolve had not changed.
Deep within her being, she felt a conviction that she must do something to right the world.
I must do something to make this right.
For though she had no memory of what has transpired,
Though I have no idea what has transpired.
She knew that she had the power to change it.
I think I have the power to change this.
So she packed a bag.
She took her shoes.
she took her socks.
She took her underwear, her dresses, her A-game, her breath away, her rain check, and the words right out of her mouth.
And she set off.
She climbed over hills. And she crossed under bridges.
She trudged through bushes and stepped through swamps.
She weaved through jungles and skipped over ponds.
She jumped to conclusions and she ran her mouth.
And though time passed, couldn't be measured, bought, sold, or spared,
Time could and would still go on.
And eventually,
the sun began to set.
Huh. Well, this is strange. I appear to be setting.
and the crickets began to sing.
I don't know why, but I just feel like singing today.
And the queen began to get tired.
I feel awfully tired.
She found a small patch of grass.
She laid down her head.
She said a small prayer.
I hope tomorrow is better.
And she fell asleep.
And the sun rose the next morning, just the same.
But also a little different.
The sun cocked its head and said,
Whoa. Deja vu. Did I do this already?
Flowers peeked their heads out of their petals and said,
Ah, this feels nice. I could get used to this.
People everywhere woke up and thought,
what am I doing?
What am I doing here?
And the queen awoke.
and screamed.
Ah!
not come true.
For without her many yesterdays,
What hope does tomorrow have?
Oh,
And so in her continued battle between wisdom and foolishness,
because who can really tell the difference anymore?
the queen again said wisely,
The queen again said, foolishly,
I must do something to make this right.
and she would follow that deep conviction on and on.
for days, weeks, months, and years.
and she never learned.
For how could she?
And she never remembered.
For how could she?
And she never stopped.
For how could she?
I must do something to make this right.
But
But how could she?